Today, I want to give you 5 very easy classic novels that anyone can read because they're very simple, they have great themes, they're very fun to read, and you know, I feel like a lot of the books I give are not super digestible, not super enjoyable. They might have very cool concepts, they might have very cool ideas, but it feels like you're reading a textbook, and sometimes you are basically reading a textbook. So here are some more fun, light, easy reads that are going to give you a lot of enjoyment. We're going to start out with The Alchemist. This is still one of my favorite books. Like, I've read this probably 4 or 5 times now, and like, I haven't really done it on purpose. It's almost been accidentally, but every time I pick up this book, I feel like I gain a new aspect from it. I feel like I gain a new appreciation. I see something that I didn't see before. It's like when you watch back a really good movie and you start to see like the plot developments. They're giving you hints as to what's going to happen. And this is what I feel with this book. This book, put very simply, is a boy who knows that there's more to the world and he wants to find it out. But through the course of his journey, he finds out that he had what he wanted all along. He had what he was looking for right in front of him, and it's truly a very good coming of age story. It's a very good story when it comes to finding out the meaning and the depth in this world. And I think this book is particularly important for today because when you think about today, we live in a world where there's very little meaning. People try everything that they can under the sun to try to find purpose, to try to find meaning. I mean, look at Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk. Those dudes are trying to conquer the stars because they've done everything here, but they still want more. And it's like there's almost like a fundamental aspect to modern day life of not knowing what to do, not having enough challenges and trying to invent them. And this story is a really, really good, wholesome story. And I think you should pick it up. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to give anything away because this is a book that pretty much everyone has read. If you haven't read it, you really should. Next one that I want you to read is The Great Gatsby. Now, this is a story that perfectly encapsulates the Roaring '20s. I really should read more of F. Scott Fitzgerald because I've loved this book since the time I was a child. But when I read it the first time, I really liked it, and this was at a time when I didn't like anything. I reread it again recently, and I really enjoyed how the story was crafted. I really enjoyed the ebbs and flows, the idealism of the story, the almost like the false hope that Gatsby held on to the entire time, and chasing what was instead of chasing the future, always trying to linger in the past, always trying to hold on to something in fear of what's to come next. And these are all tremendous themes. It's a very, very simple book. I think I read it within a day. Very quick read, very emotional ending, really, really good payoff. I really think if you haven't read this book, this is something you should really pick up because, it's cool to read a book and learn more about history than you would from history. Like, most of what I know from the Roaring '20s comes from this book because it talks about individual people, it talks about their experiences, it talks about the era of the time, and it perfectly does justice to that era. The next book that I really think most people should read is The Catcher in the Rye. This is just a coming of age story. Probably one of the better ones. I mean, it's not as hopeful as some of the other ones that you'll read, like The Alchemist, but the entire point of this story is that Holden Caulfield is trying to grow up, but he's resisting it. And as he's resisting it, he's a walking contradiction. He's obsessed with sex, but wants to fall in love with the prostitute before he does anything with her. Like, he's very, very weird, and he's very, very hypocritical, and it just encapsulates the entire process of growing old. Like, we want more responsibility, we want more things, but we're not willing to take what comes with that. We're not willing to take the bad aspects of responsibility. We're not willing to take on the workload or this or that or having a family or this. Like, everything about Holden is, I want more, but I don't want anything else. I don't want to accept any more responsibility, but I want more. And that's what we feel as we're growing up, especially today, because I feel like our entire lives we were coddled, and our entire lives we're in the school system doing this, doing that, and then when we hit the real world, we realize like the world's not all what it is cracked up to be. There's a lot of monotony. There's a lot of things that we have to do that we don't want to do, and it's something that especially is hitting me because I'm literally about to graduate grad school, so it's like I'm finally hitting the world for the first time, and It's an interesting period in my life, and I'm facing it hopefully better than Holden did. But again, this is a great book that I think really you should read it, especially if you've read it before. I want you to reread it because I know the way that you approach it has changed. Because when I first read this book, I really identified with Holden. I was, I think, 15 or 16. I was in the angsty teenage phase, and I was like, man, like what happens in the end? I don't get the ending. The ending doesn't make sense, but the ending is Holden coming to grips with what he has to face. He has to face that he's no longer a child anymore, and he has to start acting like an adult. And there's certain things that are good with this. There's certain things that are bad with it, and it's the unwillingness to change that makes a lot of people struggle in life. And the moment you stop changing is the moment you die. I think Seneca put it best as he's approaching old age. He said, "Old age is the last thing that I haven't faced yet. I faced life as a young man. I faced life as a older man, but now I'm becoming feeble. Now my body's not working, so I must rely on my wisdom more, and my wisdom is going to grow more through this period than it ever has in my life." And it's accepting the changes and taking them for good, taking them for challenges instead of getting all up in arms about them. But the next one is Frankenstein. This is a book that I think we need to read more and more and more because, what else is a good allegory for AI than Frankenstein? We've seen the Terminator movies, we've seen all of these movies where AI takes over the world, or computers, or iRobot, whatever the movie is. It always ends badly when we try to create humanity through a machine. When we try to recreate humanity, recreate nature. Some things are just meant to be the way they're meant to be. Some things aren't meant to be replicated. And I think this is something that we're facing now, especially more than any other time, because, dude, if someone can take my face and put it on a camera, like put it on a deep fake and have me say some horrendous things, you know what I mean? Like there's a current case, I don't know how far along it's gotten, but Scarlett Johansson's suing OpenAI because they took a voice that was very similar to hers after she rejected being the voice of OpenAI's AI, and she's suing them, but they're like, oh, well, it's not really your voice, it's someone's voice that sounds like you. Like, is that really what we want to do? Do we want to create a world where someone can replicate your consciousness, where someone can replicate your voice? And it has to do with the advancement of science. It has to do with wanting more and not understanding that you have everything that you could ever want. The entire point of the book is that Frankenstein should be eternally happy, but through his pursuit of science, through his pursuit of greatness, through his pursuit of excellence, he destroys his entire life. He destroys everything he loves. And it's truly a great tale if you want to take it like this, but there's also great symbolism. There's also great themes, and there's a reason this book stood the test of time, and there's a reason that this book will continue to be read till the end of time, because it hits at a fundamental aspect of human nature, that we want scientific progress, we want progress, but at what cost? And it's truly a beautiful book. It ends perfectly, and I really urge you to pick up this book if you haven't read it already. The last one I want you to read is Animal Farm. I was up in the air if I wanted to pick Animal Farm or 1984 or The Trial or Brave New World, but I thought Animal Farm is the best because what better way to introduce you to George Orwell if you haven't read him than through the masterful allegory, the masterful fable that is Animal Farm. And I really think that people nowadays take the wrong messages from a book like 1984 or Brave New World. They don't really understand what these books are talking about. They politicize it. They point at a political party and say this. I want you to read this book and realize that he's talking about Stalin, and realize that he's talking about human nature, and he's talking about human nature's ability to centralize power and say that I'm doing it for the good of you. And it's truly a masterful tale because you can see the real world consequences, but you can also see it in terms of the story. Like you know exactly what he's talking about. You know exactly the method that Stalin used or other leaders used to centralize power, to demonize his opponents, to remove opposition, to give himself more wealth, to give himself more things. But it works so perfectly in the story. None of the story feels forced. None of the story makes it feel like, oh, well, I'm just reading this guy's political opinions. No, you're reading a great story that's spliced in with Orwell's amazing social commentary And that's what I really, really love about this book. Like, if only all the journalists or all the pundits could read this book and actually understand that people don't care about your politics. They care about a good story, about a good narrative, about something that actually hits at a core fundamental nature of human nature. Yeah, core fundamental aspect of human nature. Like, we want to know about that. We don't want to know about your political beliefs. We don't want to know about this. We just want good stories, good narratives. And that's what this book does so well. And, you know, when social commentary, when political commentary is done well in a story, it's masterful. It's something that transcends eras, that transcends time. Stalin is long dead, but this book still remains. And that is the greatest part of this book, that it came out of such evil, but it showed us that this evil exists, and it characterized it in a really, really funny way. So, yeah, go ahead, pick up all these books. Probably shouldn't take you that long to read all these. Most of these I read in like a day. But again, I'm obsessed with reading, so don't feel bad if it takes you a little longer. But, you know, these are books that once you pick up, you're not going to be able to put down. And very easy, very fun, very light reading. And sometimes it's good to change up styles. Sometimes it's good to not read just such dense philosophy or such dense storytelling. I'm reading Ulysses right now, and that is some of the most complex stuff I've ever read. And there's an argument is like, was James Joyce completely insane, or was he so sane that he was just levels of genius beyond normal comprehension? And I mean, one of my heroes, Carl Jung, literally said, like, this is complete sanity that most people will never understand. It's a very, very cool thing to hear one of the greatest psychologists say that about you, but, you know, they didn't like each other, but that's a story for another day. I love you guys so much. Thank you guys so much. I will link all these books in the description. Peace out. I'll catch you in the next one.